All right, so the last story here, Representative Michael McCaul leads a congressional delegation to Taiwan. So Michael McCaul, who's the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, he is leading a bipartisan congressional delegation in Taiwan. And this trip comes right after China just wrapped up these major military drills that it conducted around Taiwan in response to the inauguration of President William Lai. So Lai is a member of the independence-leaning Democratic Progressive Party, and he took a more confrontational tone with the mainland in his inauguration speech. More confrontational than his predecessor, Tsai Ing-wen, who was also a member of the DPP. Beijing launched military exercises that it said were a punishment for separatist acts, referring to Lai's speech, and these exercises involved simulating a blockade on Taiwan. And these were the most extensive drills around the island since Nancy Pelosi went over there when she was the House Speaker in August 2022. And it's an important thing to understand, is that it goes to show how much these little trips that might not seem significant to us from U.S. officials really anger China, that the largest drills they ever launched around Taiwan were in response to the Speaker of the House going there. And China is opposed to all congressional visits to Taiwan and strongly criticized McCaul's delegation. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said, quote, "In disregard of China's strong opposition, relevant members of the U.S. Congress still decided to visit Taiwan, which violates the One China principle, the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques, and the U.S. government's own political commitment," end quote. So while he was there, and one thing, it'll be interesting to see if China starts launching, because again, like things have been escalating when it comes to the U.S. support for Taiwan, and I wonder if maybe they'll start just doing big drills or things beyond just flying planes across the Taiwan Strait in response to these congressional delegations. We will see. But McCaul made some pretty provocative comments during the start of his visit. He warned that Congress could declare war on China if it attacked Taiwan, although Congress has not declared war since World War II. But listen to this quote. He said, quote, "If the island in an unprovoked manner was invaded, then it would be to the American people and the United States Congress and my committee that has the power to declare war, how to deal with that," end quote. So it would not be up to the American people, of course, but it's interesting. He says if Taiwan gets attacked in an unprovoked manner, so if an unprovoked attack happened, which of course they consider everything unprovoked these days, even though he's there provoking China. But McCaul added that for now his job is to seek deterrence to avoid war, but the strategy the U.S. is pursuing is raising tensions in the region and making a conflict seem more likely. Increased U.S. military and diplomatic support for Taiwan in recent years has put the island under significantly more Chinese military pressure. The congressional delegation vowed that more U.S. weapons are on the way to Taiwan. What's interesting here is that $95 billion foreign military aid bill that President Biden signed into law. Remember, it was voted as 3 separate bills in the House. The one that received the most support wasn't Israel. It wasn't Ukraine. It was the one for Taiwan, $8 billion. And I believe about $4 billion of that is military aid for Taiwan, which the U.S. just began providing last year. And the rest goes to other spending in the region. That passed in a vote of 385 to 34. Again, it received the most support out of all the military aid. And McCaul in Taiwan, he noted the strong bipartisan support for arming Taiwan. He said, quote, "Even though there are debates about the other theaters of war, I can tell you there is no division or no dissension when it comes to Taiwan in Congress," end quote. And unfortunately, he is right. When it comes to China, Taiwan, it's just complete hysterics, and everybody seems to be on board with this new Cold War. And whether people like it or not, sometimes people think get upset when you talk about China and Taiwan and China putting all this military pressure on Taiwan. It doesn't really matter what we think about it here in the U.S. The fact is that Taiwan is always going to be so much more important to China than it is to the U.S., similar to Ukraine and Russia. And people have to be realistic, knowing what China is going to do in response to things. If the U.S. gives them more military aid, if the U.S. increases diplomatic support, China's going to put more pressure on Taiwan. That's just the reality of the situation here. And they seem to be prepared to just keep pushing, pushing and pushing as far as they can.